I needed to hear you come out very strongly because I had the commissioner run on that issue, which is actually the mother of everything. Honorable members, I know you have so much you want to ask the visitors in the house, the Ipoa team in the house. I want your guidance. I want you to help me in making a decision on extending more time for these wonderful team players, not during this sitting, but for another sitting, so that we can give them the opportunity to expound. I love the way Commissioner Doreen executed her points, and I had so many questions to ask, but I didn't want to stop you. I would look forward to another session. I'm not trying to say we conclude now, so that we don't rush you, and we give our members opportunity to, engage you further and make them understand your issues so that they can be your partner. Honorable members in the House, do I have your support on this?
Yes.
That's the spirit of the House. So to what extent do we engage them so that we can give the rest, we can leave the rest for the next sitting? Now we are at 40 past 1. 15 minutes so that we can have another 15 minutes to have lunch. 15 minutes, members? Agreeable?
Yes.
Very good. So I want to ask that there is any question you need to ask, noting that there is one, is it a commissioner who did not have an opportunity to speak? The colonel lady, the ex-military.
No, the commissioner, Dr. Ogoni.
Doctor?
Ogoni.
Yeah. My elder brother. Yeah, you will have to speak. We want to hear the wonderful voice behind the wonderful, handsome face we can see. Honorable members, can we agree that each takes about, we have 15 minutes, each about 2 minutes?
1 minute.
1 to 2 minutes?
Yes.
Honorable CNN, over to you.
Yes, Chair. One of the key mandate, actually constitutional mandate of this commission of authorities to investigate death and serious injuries caused by policemen. On Friday, we witnessed the death of a man at Kambu police station in Makueni County. Can you tell us what you are doing to ensure recurrence is not there? Another question.
Even if we are rushing you, that's a very sensitive issue.
Yes.
You need to expound further so that members who are not familiar with that issue.
The mother was detained by the police station while she was actually having a minor. And the minor could not actually access breastfeeding. This is an atrocity that needs to be addressed, Honorable Chair. The other question, number 2. During the just concluded demonstrations, we saw atrocities committed by policemen, and some of them used live bullets to kill Kenyans. Have you done any investigation and recommended for prosecution of the same? Live bullets were seen. What have you done as Ipoa? Thank you.
Very good question. KMPDU, Dr. Jibril, who was brutally injured by the police officer during their demonstrations, which was their right to picket, and we have not had anything since. So what is the role of Ipoa? You need to justify to us why we should be given adequate funding. If people are suffering in the street and nothing is coming from you, then you deserve a budget cut if you don't justify. Honorable members, Honorable Osoro.
Mine is a challenge. As you're endeavoring to to tie in rogue police officers, I want to give you a very practical example. Somebody has gone to the police to report a crime. It has taken time, 1 week, 2 or 3 months. The police officers have taken their statement, but have not forwarded the file to the DPP. Now, When I come to Ipoa to complain and tell them my file is lying on the DCI's desk for the last 6-10 months, immediately I complain to you. What does the police do? They immediately forward the file to the DPP with or without the evidence. Yani ni ile ya kuangusha. File yako si ulikuwa umetureport kwa Ipoa, ndio hiyo tumeipeleka kwa.
Order, Mheshimiwa Patrick, use the parliamentary language. Okay. If you use Kiswahili, you use Kiswahili throughout, and so is English.
So they forward your file, mutilated file, to the DPP, which means the DPP actually will throw out the case. Now, there is a lacuna there that I would like you, as you think about this, that lacuna, because you are the oversighters, that lacuna, how will you address this? Because that comes in a lot of times. File is delayed, you go to Ipoa, Ipoa make the call, what is happening to that file, immediately the next day, it is forwarded to the DPP, but it is already mutilated and cannot stand any on legal basis. So that's just food for thought as we move ahead.
Thank you.
We have had several complaints against the police whenever they have to quell demonstration, whether during any ordinary complaint or protest, or even during the general election. What are the guidelines of the police standing orders on quelling demonstrations? Is it by use of rubber bullets or rifle bullets? What are the guidelines?
Chair, I just want to appreciate the sitting. I can see there is a fighting between the Ipoa and NP, CSC, and IG. And the two babies are at your center. You are the commission or the people to bring them together. As the issue of recruitment, that you are aware that the NPCSC failed, and you took a long time without taking action. What's your answer to bring them together, or to solve problem until you escalated before the committee? Secondly, we find sometimes some demonstration or people or wanted to make meetings, and sometimes maybe police, because there's no order, or they have not been engaged to have meetings. And you find some of commissioners harassing even police officers, to intimidate police officers, to force so that they can push and pull the ordinary Kenyans so that they can favor their needs or of their supporters. What's your take in this? Because it is happening. You'll find a commissioner living in Baringo or Kajiado or Narok, because he's belong there, and force and intimidate police officers. Because as we protect wananchi, it is also important to protect even police officers, because they are parents. They are parents.
Honorable Sunkuya,
thank you.
Your time is up. Honorable.
I just want to ask maybe whether there are sometimes Ipoa may not be able to function when maybe cases which is unfair to the general public touching the police. For example, Chair, I remember some times back, we have a very serious issue of killing of livestock in Laikipia, and we presented that case through Ipoa, but that's an unfair thing happening to Mwananchi, and then we are not able to move. Maybe is it a challenge that you are not able to maybe prosecute that because it's directly to the police? We really want to know whether there is that challenge. You are not able to function just because the police are controlling all these things and the unfairness happening to an age. Thank you.
Thank you. Those said that we need another forum with you so that we can unpack every issue. For me, I have an issue that I would want you may not be able to answer me now, but maybe during your next appearance, you will take time and investigate and get to us on the issue that was flagged to us during our Mombasa retreat, where we had invited the National Police Service Commission. The commissioners came, the ununiformed commissioners appeared, and the uniformed commissioners, who are the IG and his two deputies, did not appear. We have struggled with them to send our invites, and we have had a lot of frustrations. I don't know whether there is a feeling that they are a bit superior and they should not adhere to some of these letters that are coming from the National Assembly. We are concerned as a committee. I don't know what is your take as Ipoa, because you oversight the uniformed officers. Whether it is the IG or not, I guess they are subject to your oversight. Within the submissions that we received in Mombasa, there was reported some scheme of money fraud against police by companies, namely Progressive Credit and Hela Capital Limited. This is a letter that was written by the IG, Japheth Koome, the Inspector General of National Police Service, to the Director of Criminal Investigations. The IG was requesting the DCI to delve into the matter, noting that there were some fraudsters who had interfered with the payroll of police officers and introduced SACCOs, that is savings and credit cooperatives, that were targeting police officers and other civil servants by purporting to lend quick online loans. Cases in point are two companies, namely Hela Capital Limited and Progressive Limited, which affected a total of 6,860 NPS officers from 2019 to March 2024, rendering money and exposing them to embarrass the officers. We would want to know whether you are familiar with this matter, and if you have or you are, to what extent have you gone to protect the innocent police officers from this exposure? I want to give you about 6 minutes so that you can respond to all issues. That last issue, if you are not familiar with it, you take it, and next time you come ready to respond. So we start with the questions.
On the matter of the chair of KMPDU, Complaints shooting. The issue I can probably answer, and if there will be time, any other commissioner can add, the issue of NPSE and NPS, how do we propose the issue to be resolved? Other than what Commissioner Mudaura has very ably brought to the fore, the legal framework, the constitutional dilemma, we believe a review of the policies and procedures as recommended by the Malaga Task Force. They can also review their charter, the charter that governs the operations of the Commission. I'm sure the Commission operates through committees and clearly set mandate of each committee clearly. The IG is a commissioner, so he can actually, with goodwill, what is lacking is goodwill. There is lack of goodwill in that relationship. But with goodwill, the Inspector General of Police can achieve all that he wants to achieve through the committees. For example, through the Committee on Human Resource. If he wants to chair that, I'm not saying he should, but should it be found that that's the way to give him the opportunity for them to achieve what they want to achieve within the structures of the National Police Service Commission, that is doable. But I think what lacks is goodwill, and that's what the parties probably need to develop besides the legal framework. The legal framework as it exists can help them, is adequate for them to operate and continue serving the Kenyans, but they lack goodwill. In terms of the last point, we may not have delved into it because when people borrow, it's a personal decision. However, we've done a research paper on deaths and suicides within the police service. And what we found when we did that research is a lot of them are financially constrained because of that borrowing from multi-entities. They end up stretching themselves beyond capacity to handle. A lot of them end up committing suicide, end up becoming very violent. There is a report, a very comprehensive policy proposal that was forwarded through the normal channels to the minister, not in the current government, but in the previous. And we recommended intervention on how to empower the police officers with the knowledge on how to handle their financial obligations. So it may not necessarily, we may not have investigated the exposure to criminal issues. We can take that up going forward, but we are aware that they overcommit their pay slips to an extent they are unable to survive, and it ended up making them either very corrupt or commit suicide, cause murders among themselves because of stress, and that is documented. Having said that, because of time, I think I've taken 3 minutes. I'll give the CEO the mic.
The issue of Kambu, that is the death of Alex Mutuku. Ipoa is seized of the matter. We are already actively investigating this case. And so far, we have already met with the mother, Zipporah Mudeu. We've taken statements. We have already taken all the police records, including the duty roster. What is outstanding amongst the other few remaining is the postmortem, which is happening on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And Ipoa is seized, and Ipoa will be present. Once that is done, before our next appearance, Honorable Chair, I would want to assure that that file will be concluded by Ipoa. On the issue of KMPDU, Ipoa monitored and continues to monitor, of course, the cases of those demonstrations, and we are seized of the matter, and our file is at a very advanced stage. I want to confirm that we are fully engaged on it, and what you will see is a file to be submitted to ODPP. So we are fully on board on those cases, Chair. On the issue of managing the public order management is a major issue, Chair,
And Ipoa has made a lot of recommendations on this area, but one of the key recommendations is the use of rubber bullets and not live bullets. However, this has not been adhered to, and Ipoa has continued to insist that the police must apply, the required force, and it is not in the use of, one of it is not the use of live bullets. So is the use of the rubber bullets. That is what is recommended among as many other measures. I want to hand over to Commissioner Mudavura.
1 minute, Chair Honorable. To add on to what our CEO has said, the tooling, kitting, and equipping of an officer is not by the officer. It is by the service. The tools given, the gear given is a challenge. So if we have taken a lot of officers because of using the wrong tool or using excessive force of firearm, we have had them convicted. We mentioned 27 of them convicted. But at the end of the day, is Ipoa in existence to punish police officers? What can we do to ensure that an officer is properly equipped and tooled to deal with the issue he's going to address? That is one, Chair. Allow me to quickly mention on the issue of abuse of power or office by commissioners, as mentioned by Mheshimiwa. That unfortunately, as Ipoa, we cannot investigate commissioners. That's a different duty. It borders on an element beyond us. But the welfare of a police officer, which is not something that is supposed to be Ipoa's mandate per se, is a role of National Police Service Commission. The very person you are alleging, or it's alleged that may be abusing power. It's unfortunate.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Allow me to, remember we have your colleague who has wanted to speak and you're not being fair to him.
That's what I wanted
Dr.
to plead.
Walter.
Yes.
Could you give him the microphone to say something?
I wanted to plead for a minute for him.
I just wanted to touch on the issue of persons injured by police, especially when they are shot by live bullets. Yes, Doreen says the use of a tool depends on what the officer is given to use. And if they are not well kitted, then of course we get people being injured by live bullets instead of rubber bullets or other means to restrain them. Now we as Ipoa have to follow the due process of investigating an injury, especially when it's a rubber bullet. And that is more a very serious forensic process that we have to go through. Chair, I want to say that we meet challenges because this forensic process, the burden still lies with DCI. And so we have to depend on DCI to give us answers to some of these forensic questions that we want. The forensic laboratory is domiciled at the headquarters of DCI. The report from the Justice Maraga Emeritus has actually proposed that that becomes an independent laboratory to serve all the arms of government that will need to use it, including the coroner and others. So that is a challenge we also have with investigating injuries. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Time is up. I hope you are following the case of the recent caning of a police officer, traffic police officer by a motorist. Mercilessly caning. He was punched to the floor, not once, not twice. Actually, from what I saw, if that was really a validated video, the motorist had given a crude weapon. And this is the wrong messaging that we should not send out there, that our police officers are victims of physical abuse. Not forgetting that they also go through a lot of psychological and emotional abuse that we may not be able to register on their faces. We've even had incidences where even members of parliament physically abuse the police officers on camera. I don't know to what extent you as Ipoa do you wait for DCI and the processes to go on for you to pick up the matter? For example, that incident of that traffic or police officer who was being caned by a motorist, or you pick immediately based on the public outcry? What is the criteria for you to come in?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We've come in on own motion because the law allows us to do that. We've issued a statement to that extent. Of course, there is a lot of public backlash, but we cannot investigate that civilian because our mandate is limited to investigating the police. We can only educate the public and, where necessary, support the process, but it's a DCI matter. If we investigate that matter, we'll be venturing into the space of DCI, which will cause a lot of conflict. But we have a mandate in educating the public and guiding them on what can lead to anarchy and the need to respect and honor law enforcement agencies. Thank you, Honorable Chair. There was a question on livestock by the member Jackson, Honorable Jackson. The VC sat in the meetings to discuss that issue. He can respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. I will be brief. Jackson Legumentare asked about the killings of livestock in Laikipia. Yes, it is true. The drought of 2017-2018 brought the livestock farmers to Laikipia, and there was a commotion. And it is true that that place was declared an operational area. And you know, when the government declares an area as an operation, just the way it is in Tiati now, it is condoned most of the time. However, when the report came to Ipoa, certain aspects and gaps were existing. Honorable Member, as you know, through the chair, the witnesses and the people who reported did not indicate the number of the armored vehicle, the officers involved, and specific, including even the cartridges that were used. But later on, because this happened before this committee came into the office, Honorable Member, we went far into the file and investigation, and three witnesses, one from Kiltamany, yes, one from Mundonyowasin, and one also around Losesia area, were identified as the main owners of this, and there is a pending discussion to fill the gaps, and this was later, after now the area was open, and our officers were able to access it. So it is in progress, and it is never a lost item. Thank you.
Very well.
The issue of the IG not honoring summons and the commissioner, that is something so serious in this country, because as we look at it, it means that completely disregard the rule of law. And if they're not honoring the members of parliament, who else will they honor? As we do that, we've called them several times, they have not responded. And that is all that is causing all the big problems in the
So you want to confirm to this committee,
yes,
that you have also invited the IG,
yes,
to your commission,
yes,
and they have not honored your invitation?
We have even requested to go and visit him, which he has refused.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So we are not the only ones in this basket.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think as members of parliament, you have an obligation.
What does the law allow you to do? If you invited him for a meeting, you invite the IG for a meeting or for a forum, and they do not honor. Commissioner Doreen, what does the law allow you to do? Normally, very serious engagement.
I'll allow Commissioner Doreen to answer, but before it gets there, Honorable Chair, when we invite, we've not invited.
You are out of order, Chair. You are out of order.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Under our Act, the Act envisions a situation where non-cooperation is a reality. In fact, Section 4 of our Act obligates each and every person, state and non-state actors, to cooperate with Ipoa in the execution of its mandate. It further, under Section 30 of our Act, obligates any officer, including the Inspector General, meaning the entire NPS, as long as you're serving under the command of the Inspector General and the Inspector, or you're a member of the service which includes the Inspector General, must honor their summons. If failure to, we are obligated to enforce the same section through a court process. We have done that before for other officers, and it served the purpose for that moment. However, do we want to have a situation where we are having state officers dragged in court for failure to honor summons? That is a challenge in the House. And that's why I said goodwill, state officer, state obligation, Chapter 6 comes to play. Thank you, Chair.
Correct, precisely. Because there's much that we would want to hear from you in regards to what you do and the role of your commission in making sure that you facilitate most of the state agencies that are working with you to implement the Constitution of Kenya to the dot. And that is the work of this committee to oversight the process of implementation of the same Constitution. I want to correct you, Chair, because maybe you did not get my question. The issue of loans to the officer, to the police officer, is an internal police issue. It's not external. Because for anybody to loan over 6,800 police officers money online has to access the payroll. Who allowed the penetration of payroll or the access of payroll to online lenders? Was there public procurement done? Who is the salary officer who is in charge and who is supposed to make sure that you check that? Was the rule of the third of your salary followed? You know, to get to the extent where the police officers are committing suicide because they have so many loans against their pay slips, somebody must have provided that platform, and that is why the IG is writing a letter to the DCI. So this is a matter that Ipoa should take up immediately, and probably maybe during your next visitation to this committee, come up with a clear response. Chair, allow me to throw that challenge to you and your team.
And Chair, I think you need to tell them the letter that the IG wrote was preempting our investigation. When they learned that we were investigating, now they preempted by writing a letter.
Members, because of the interest we have derived from the Ipoa team, with your permission, can we grant them another visitation? Secretariat, can you take up that matter? Look at our diary and suggest a day and communicate to them formally? And probably you fix it from 10 to midday when people are a bit freer and their faculties are functioning properly. We had so much to ask you, and we have so much to assimilate. I would request that this copy that you gave me, if it is possible, and it is within your limits, you give our members a copy so that they can read out. The next meeting, they can, oh, you have copies, but they've come late, so we have not had time to read well. Because you presented this at the onset of the meeting, we would want that next meeting, then we'll have read the documents properly, and we'll engage on matters challenges, matters limitation of funding, matters achievements. And there's something you said that is very, very important, the awarding system for the best performing police women and men. I have been very, very particular about that issue because we have very good police officers, men and women in the villages who work very well, but nobody notices them. And we notice them as, civilians, but we don't know which channel to use to recognize them. And, we have this presidential award system where we get HSC. Like, for example, I am a HSC. I was recommended by the former president. And I'm sure there are police officers who also can, qualify for these awards, but we don't hear them anywhere. I don't know whether it is within the law that they're not supposed to be awarded. Yeah, so maybe next meeting we'll discuss that and many other issues. So with those very many contributions and comments from my members, with the permission of the honorable members in the House, the Honorable Kibagedi, Honorable CNN, Honorable Jackson, Honorable Sunkuya George, and Honorable Mwafrika, and my able secretariat, I humbly adjourn the meeting.